Hi, I'm Jeff Murrah. I'm going to welcome you to True Texas History, where today we are going to talk about James Hughes Callahan and the Callahan Expedition. Now, James Hughes Callahan is a fascinating fellow. He is the namesake of Callahan County, Texas, and he came here with some volunteers from Georgia and fought in the War for Texas Independence. He had been down there near Goliad and had been captured by Mexican troops. Now, he managed escaping the Goliad massacre by being on a work detail outside of Victoria. So while his compatriots and fellow soldiers were being killed, he survived. Which that did a number on his head. And ever since that point, he had a resentment for the duplicity of the Mexican troops. Now, bear in mind that the Mexican commander had reassured these men they would be sent back to America and given them all sorts of promises. They didn't stay. They didn't keep the promises. So, after that, he went on to become a ranger, Texas Ranger, and excelled at doing so. Had served in various capacities there, and he's probably best known for what they call the Callahan Expedition. Now, the Callahan Expedition, it's one of these expeditions that there's a lot of controversy still about what the true purpose of the expedition was. What we do know is that at that time, in the 1850s, while Texas was focused on the Callahan expedition and what was going on there. Now, there were some other filibustering activities going on. I mean, some of the people from America had gone down to Cuba, had gone down to Nicaragua and Central America, and were trying to filibuster there. The newspapers didn't carry a whole lot about those episodes because they were caught up with the Callahan episode. Now, Callahan took 3 groups of Texas Rangers with him on a retaliatory expedition into Mexico. He's supposedly going to pay back the Indians for some of the raids that they had done. And he had the backing of the Texas governor, but he did not have the backing of the United States government because things were still being worked out at that point. And he went ahead and crossed into Mexico, and after getting into Mexico, apparently there was some controversy over him being there. And he was ambushed by some Mexican troops, and they had to shoot their way out of the situation, and he ended up burning the town of Piedras Negras. And made it back to Texas and the protection of a fort on the Texas side of the border. Now, after, you would think that his troubles were over at that point. Now, the press, of course, was saying, no, he didn't go down there to chase after Indians. He went down there chasing after runaway slaves. I don't know. I do know, that they did the expedition, and its stated purpose was to chase Lipan Apaches, Kickapoo Indians. Some just make reference to the Lipan Apaches, and they don't say anything about the Kickapoos, but oftentimes the Indian tribes would join with one another. So anyways, he got back home, and there were a lot of rumors that his wife had been sleeping around, and some of the people made some comments about, if he was not gone all the time, being a Texas Ranger, this type of thing wouldn't happen. And that led to a feud between he and another fellow. Let's see, what was that other fellow's name? Hold on. Blessingham Woodson Blessingham. And this whole feud went down in Blanco County. And Blanco, the city of Blanco had originally been known as the city of Pittsburgh. It changed its name to Blanco later on. But we're talking just like 3 years after it was settled. And so they didn't have, the closest newspaper was there in New Braunfels. That was the closest Law and Order. And so people tended to take things into their own hands. And in this case, Callahan was a man of honor, so he went out to the Blessingham house to confront the people that were spreading rumors about his wife. And it's one of those things like who shot first. Gunfire went down and Callahan was dead, and the person who had made the accusations was free. And this seemed to be unjust to many of the locals, and a group of vigilantes eventually went out there. Some of the reports say about 100. They went to the house, and Mrs. Blessingham managed to get away, and two of the other Blessinghams, the crowd told them to leave, to get, run away. They refused to do so because they said, we didn't do anything wrong. And, one thing led to another, and the two Blessinghams were shot. One of them had reportedly had 20 bullets in him. So the crowd just kind of went hog wild. And since this was still a wild frontier in Blanco, not a whole lot was done. Now Callahan, it's almost like a tragic story, because prior to him taking off on the expedition, he had lost one of his children, and then he died, and his wife was heartbroken with everything, and she ended up dying soon after that too. Now Callahan and his wife, it's a tragic story. Quite a few years ago, their bodies were dug up and reinterred into the Texas State Cemetery, into a place of honor. So you'll see him, his wife, and their daughter who had died there in the Texas State Cemetery. A tragic end to a man who had given so much to Texas and risked his life as a Texas Ranger. So just wanted to go ahead and cover that story. I know it's not directly related to filibusters, but it has some filibuster overtones to it, and it was an expedition down into Mexico. Of course, after the expedition, the U.S. went ahead and didn't take action against Callahan, actually supported him, even though they had not authorized it. So it could have turned into a big international event, but it ended up blowing over. Of course, 1850s, there was a lot of things going on that eventually blew up in 1861. So hope you enjoyed this, and until next time, vaya con Dios, my friends. Goodbye.